What up, YouTube? This is Building Better Lives podcast coming at you once again. Just want to got a couple things we want to talk about today. Before we get started, if you could do me a favor and hit that like, subscribe button for me, I really would appreciate it. Greatly help the channel out to grow and reach more people. But what we want to talk about today is choosing poorly, right? I want to bring this up because there's a lot of backlash or vitriol and just nasty comments about men these days about especially when it comes from single mothers about how baby daddies aren't handling their business. um, you hear that all the time. Men aren't this, men aren't that, men don't do what they're supposed to do. But I had a question is, why aren't you being held accountable for the type of men you chose? There's plenty of good men out there that would take care of the child if you chose them, right? If you chose them to get pregnant with, they will be there for you. But you chose poorly because you thought with another part of your body instead of your brain, right? So you choose this guy who 9 times out of 10 already has clear indicators that he's not going to be there for the child, right? Whether that's a previous child or just his overall behavior in life, right? He doesn't have the stability to take care of a child, or he doesn't have the inclination to take care of a child due to the previous baby mothers he may have. But yet you still choose to go on and have a child with him. I heard this alarming statistic that 80% of the children created in the black community are by 20% of the men, right? So you have these, what they call the Pookies and Ray Rays, giving you all these children, and you want to blame all men when you all are going to the same type of men, right? There's another 80% of men out there that are not creating these children, right? There's a statistic that 54% or somewhere around that number are black men are single and childless, right? So at least half of the black men you could have chosen to have a child with, you didn't. You go to the 20% that have the known inclination not to raise children properly. But you want to turn around and blame black men or just men in general for how you chose poorly. You picked the wrong type of man. There are plenty of men out there that you could have chosen from that had decent jobs, going to be decent fathers, and maybe they didn't have the swag that you were looking for. They didn't have the reputation of being, from the hood, because not everybody can't be from the hood, right? And that's one of the problems that we have in our community, is that in order to be acceptable to women, we have to have this certain thug nature about ourselves. We have to have a little bit of thug in it. I used to hear this phrase that everybody's looking for a ghost, ghost from power. They're looking for this guy that can perform in the corporate world and, be a thug in the streets. That scenario is highly unlikely. I mean, I'm sure there may be, a few guys out there who are actually in the streets like that and, transition, I'm sure. But the number is so small that it's not even worth mentioning, right? When I first got into corporate America, I remember this black lady telling me that, she was so tired of these guys trying to pretend to be thugs, and they work in corporate America. You got to pick a struggle. She said, "There's no way you could be a proper gangster," her word, "and be a proper businessman. You got because you wouldn't have got hired in corporate America if you were a thug. You wouldn't have the skills necessary to, make that transition, and you wouldn't have had the wherewithal to operate in that environment, because where would you have learned that from, right?" So, I mean, you might find some guys in corporate America who have, thug affiliation. They know some thugs. They might have came from a background, but they chose early in their life, especially for a black man, they chose early in their life to go a different path. Because we know that if you're a black man and you make poor choices in the beginning of your life, those choices tend to follow you, right? You can't shake them off and go apply for a corporate job and say, well, yeah, I used to rob and steal and sell drugs. Yeah, I got these convictions on my record, these felonies, but I'm a changed person. It just don't work like that for us, right? So the likelihood of you being able to be a thug and be in corporate America is very, very low, unless you're supremely lucky. For me, I grew up in an environment that if I didn't make the right decisions, I would have ended up in jail or dead. That was my life. I chose to make some different decisions when I was turning into an adult. And actually, my mom helped me make those decisions. Right? She told me, "You can't stay here. Once you graduate from high school, you got to go." Right? And she said that because she knew the type of environment that we were, that I was heading into. Right? And another thing my mom did, she always made sure that no matter what I was exposed to, that I learned how to speak properly. Right? So that I could at least convey, my overall intentions to a future employer, to anybody I dealt with. So my mom was very adamant about that. But, if I hadn't made those proper decisions, I would have not been able to move forward in life, right? But, what these girls are looking for are these guys who live the street life, still portray a street attitude, and now they're corporate, so they want a little bit of thug in you, right? Well, here's the likelihood scenario that actually happens, right? So most of the guys who make it in corporate America, most of the guys who have decent jobs and things like that, they don't have that thug in them, because in order for them to move forward, they had to let that go, or they just weren't raised like that in order to be successful in that environment. So when she has an option, she says, well, I don't want a guy that's all corporate. I'd rather have more thug than corporate. So these are the type of guys you choose, and you have children with them, and now you're blaming all men because of who you chose to have relations with. Now, if you flip that and look at men, if men choose to have babies by a loose woman, every man is going to blame that man, right? Because we're going to say to that guy, and you guys all know it, man, you knew she was a street stalker before you met her. You knew she was a street stalker before you laid down with her. You knew she was loose and, was promiscuous before you laid down with her. Guys don't pull punches when it comes to who we choose to be our baby mamas. We tell each other like it is. It's like, if a guy's complaining, oh, she's always out in the streets, she's never home with the babies, we're going to look at him like I'm crazy. Like, bro, she already had 3 kids. You knew that she wasn't going to be reliable when you decided to lay down. Well, you chose to do it anyway. I'm sorry that it's happening to you, but that's what you can't blame all women for that, right? And even now in this particular space in the manosphere, guys, I mean, not all guys, but a lot of guys are starting to tell the truth. Like, a lot of men are expecting women to, fall at their feet, but they're not putting in the work, right? You got to hold yourself accountable. Men tend to hold themselves more accountable than anything. And if you're listening to anybody in the manosphere situation and they're just blaming women without any accountability for men, then you shouldn't listen to them, because it just doesn't work that way. You can't expect for women to fall at your feet and every woman to jock you, because this is not how women are, right? And we all know that women are looking for a certain type of caliber of men. Majority of them are. If you're not at least striving to attain those things by being, physically fit, financially fit, and mentally fit, then you're going to lose anyway, right? Now, of course, the problem comes in that even some of those guys still get played, but you got to at least have a starting point in order for it to even make sense, right? If you're complaining to me that you're not getting any women, and women are just all looking for one thing, but you're broke, you don't have a place of your own, you don't have a car, you don't have a career. How about you start there before you complain? Right, but I digress. I just want to address this thing because a lot of women nowadays are blaming men for the poor choices that they make. Women control access to sex. Men control access to relationships. So these women are getting pregnant by guys they choose to have sex with. And either way you look at it, if you tell me, well, I didn't know he was going to be like that, well, why'd you sleep with him so quickly if you didn't know enough about him to make that decision? And B, if you knew those things, would you think you were going to change him? Did you say, well, I know he got 3 other baby mamas, but you know, I think as baby mama number 4, he's gonna marry me, and we're gonna make it, you know, make this a thing. I mean, the likelihood of that is just astronomically low. But then you do it, and then you blame him. You know, like for example, Summer Walker. Summer Walker, great artist, but you want to blame London on the Beat, or I can't remember if it's London on the Track, London on the Beat, but you want to blame London for his poor baby daddy antics. He had other baby mamas before you. Why in the heck would you think that, you know, oh well, he got other baby mamas, but I'm different? That's what, you know, I think that also bleeds into women believe they're all been told that they're, you know, princesses. Not all you can be princesses. Not all you're gonna have a fairy tale. You know, everybody's special in their own way, but that doesn't make everybody special, right? You don't get to come behind a situation and be like, well, you know, yeah, I know he did that to everybody else, but I'm different. If let me give you an example. If you guys are in business, right, and you go to make a business deal, and the guy that comes to the table, you start, you know, you ask for his business references, or, you know, anybody that you're going to hire or will do business with, you want their business references or references from their previous employer. You reach out to these previous employers, and they say, man, he was a terrible employee, right? Or they say, well, you know, yeah, he promised he was going to deliver on this. He never delivered on anything, right? So this is the majority of the references that you have to go off of. Are you going to turn around and hire this person? Are you going to turn around and, you know, pay this person to do a job? It's like if I'm in construction and, you know, I'm going to hire a guy to do construction on my house, but everybody I talk to says he never completes a job and he runs off with the money. Why in the heck would I, you know, hire that person? This is the logic that women are using. You know, these women are using logic that is just crazy to us, right? It's like, you know, it's almost a trick mentality, and I mean, you know, that's displayed in men's world, where a guy can be a trick. He meets a prostitute, you know, a sex worker, and he's like, well, I'm gonna save her. That's the same logic that you know, that women are using. You know, in the words of Project Bat, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. You know, you guys are out there trying to save her, and she has no intentions and no reason that she wants to be saved. She's enjoying the street life. It's the same thing for these women trying to save these men. He's enjoying the street life. He is saying himself, and this is especially true with boys, unless we have hard boundaries, we're going to continue to do whatever the heck we want to do, right? The only way men stop cheating on women is if the women that they really want, they cheat on them and they don't take them back. But you can't blame a guy for cheating if you continuously accept him back and say, well, he wasn't hitting on this, it was all the cheating and all that. Cheating? What do you mean? Not he cheated, he was cheating. It means you caught him multiple times and you continue to accept him back, and now men ain't stuff. No, you have poor decision making skills. Just accept it and own it and say, yeah, I chose poorly. I made poor decisions. Because let me tell you something, majority of guys, if a woman cheats on them, they break up with them. Why? Because the majority of guys cannot get over the fact that another man conquered their woman. Right? Every time he looks at her, he's going to think, another man conquered you while we were together. He's going to be thinking about the things that other man made you do. And what he was doing while that man you were getting your back blown out, right? So most men don't forgive cheaters. A woman cheating on him and he's out. Women out on the other hand, they're like, oh well, you know, we'll work through it and all that, and then he's going to cheat again. I firmly believe, you know, it may not apply in all cases, but I firmly believe once a cheater, always a cheater. If you're able to cheat on me once, you'll cheat on me again. And me accepting you back makes you lose respect for me. So I'm good on that. But anyway, guys, tell me what you think. If you got this far in the video, if you could like, share, and subscribe, I really appreciate it. And do me a favor, if you comment below, would you forgive a cheater or would you not?